It was 6 p.m., and I was with Abby. We were both waiting. It felt strange. Two girls alone in Riley Park. The sun was setting, and he still hadn't shown up. Jake was a really nice guy. Kind, thoughtful, a man of faith, or at least, that's what he said. He used to send me money to buy things. He spoiled me a lot, and not many men do that. He always said he didn't like younger guys, that they were selfish and never kind. Jake was everything a girl could want, and I was really excited. He had never asked me to hang out in person before, even though we'd been talking on Snapchat. He lived pretty far away, but he sent me money so I could go to the national park. I thought it was a great opportunity. I dressed as nicely as I could. A cute dress, but not too noticeable so my parents wouldn't suspect anything. It was a secret, and that's how I ended up there. "Do you think he's really coming?" Abby asked. He said he would. Soon, we heard a car pulling up. It was an old car. I didn't even know the model. Jake stepped out wearing blue jeans, a blue jacket, and a cap. He was 45. From the very beginning, something about him made me uneasy, but Abby and I decided to ignore that feeling. "We're just being paranoid," I told myself. He gave us a shy smile and said, "Let's head down the hill." We followed him through the trees, going deeper and deeper into the forest. The farther we went, the more unfamiliar everything felt. A light fog started to surround us, and the air was so still it felt like even our breathing echoed. The sun was setting, and he barely spoke. Where was that kindness, that warmth? I started wondering if it had all just been an act online. The worst part, he never even explained why he invited me. Then Jake started talking in a low voice, but his tone had changed. It sounded different, almost threatening. He said strange things about knowing the area and how people used the park for rituals. "People come here for rituals," he said. "They kill and eat people." My heart started racing. "What kind of joke is that?" I asked nervously. He just looked at me with a smile that now felt disturbing. That's when everything changed. He stopped walking and glanced at us. That look, empty, lifeless. "They asked me to kill you for them," he said. Every instinct in me screamed to run, but I was also terrified of what would happen if we did. There was no signal on my phone. Abby and I looked at each other in panic, realizing we were too far from anyone who could help. We tried to turn back, but it was too late. He grabbed Abby and pulled her to the ground. Everything happened so fast I couldn't react. I was frozen, shocked and terrified. Then he looked at me, and something in his eyes snapped me back to reality. I ran as fast as I could. I could hear him chasing me. I was stumbling, crying out, tripping over roots, branches scratching at my skin as I tried to escape. I was so close to getting away, but he caught me. "They'll be happy to have you," he said. Who is they? I kept wondering, screaming, and hoping someone would hear me. Then, suddenly, people appeared. For a second I felt relief, but it vanished when I saw them. Someone was carrying Abby. I heard a voice say, "Don't kill the other one. What's the point of the sacrifice otherwise?" Everything went dark. When I woke up, I was tied up in the middle of the forest. I was lying on a table, my hands restrained. There were several men surrounding me. It was a cult. I tried to move, but I couldn't. They hurt me, and the pain was overwhelming, until suddenly everything faded. I thought I was dying, but I wasn't. I realized my life would never be the same again. This story is inspired by real events. A 24-year-old man was arrested in Delphi, Indiana, after meeting two 15-year-old girls through Snapchat and taking them into the woods. The incident happened near the Monon High Bridge Trail, where Libby German and Abby Williams were murdered in 2017. Libby had posted a photo on Snapchat capturing a mysterious man, later nicknamed the Bridge Tie, which became a key piece of evidence in the investigation. A man named Richard Allen was arrested in 2022 and charged with the murders. His trial was scheduled for October 2024. The lawyers are now pushing a theory about a ritual sacrifice carried out by a nationalist cult called the Odinites, which has made the case even more complicated. One snap for a smile, another for a soul. We're just getting started with these 3 digital nightmares. If you're brave enough to see what's hiding in the trees next, hit subscribe and join the shadow. Smash that like and tell me in the comments, who do you really trust on your friends list? Now, let's head into the forest. I never thought I'd be scared of my own phone, but now every Snapchat notification makes my heart race. It all started a few months ago when my best friend showed me some messages he'd been getting. We were hanging out in his room after school when he suddenly went quiet and handed me his phone. On the screen was a Snapchat from someone named Talon the Goon. It was a video of a kid getting punched, then kicked while he was down. The caption read, "Who's next?" It made me feel sick just watching it. When I asked Preston who it was, he just shrugged, but I could tell he was worried. He told me they were called the Gilbert Goons, and that they were from our school and others nearby. Apparently, they hurt people just for fun. Over the next few weeks, he kept getting snaps like that. Sometimes it was fight videos, other times photos of weapons with threatening captions. There was nothing we could do. If we reported them, they'd come after us, so we acted like nothing was happening. A week before Halloween, we got a snap about a party nearby with free alcohol, so my friend and I decided to go. I picked him up in my old Corolla. He was dressed as a basketball player, and I had on a cheap vampire costume. When we got there, the party was wild. Hundreds of teenagers, most in costume, loud music, and the smell of weed and alcohol everywhere. We were hanging out near the snack table, talking with some guys from school, when I noticed my friend tense up. I followed his gaze and saw a group of older guys walk in. They weren't in costume, just jeans and hoodies, but the way people moved out of their way made it clear something wasn't right. We tried to leave, but before we could, one of them stepped in front of us. I recognized him from the snaps. Tristan Billy, one of the leaders. He grabbed my friend's arm when we tried to walk past. I tried to step in, but Tristan just stared at me with cold, hard eyes. He said my friend needed to have a little talk with him. Then suddenly, 2 more guys showed up behind us and started pushing us toward the backyard. Once we were outside, away from everyone, everything happened fast. Tristan shoved my friend to the ground, yelling at him for ignoring them. I tried to calm things down, but he wasn't interested. He hit him, and my friend went down. I tried to help, but someone held me back. I had to stand there and watch as they beat him. The sound, their fists, their kicks. It was brutal, his body jerking with every hit. That image is burned into my mind. I don't even know how long it lasted. It felt like forever. Eventually, one of them said, "He's out." They left him there on the ground, not moving. There was blood on his face, smeared across his costume. Then Tristan looked straight at me and smiled. "You're next, vampire boy." And then they just walked away, calmly, like nothing had happened. As soon as they were gone, I ran to my friend. I tried shaking him, trying to wake him up. But nothing. My hands were shaking so badly when I called 911. I remember sitting there with his head in my lap, crying, begging him to wake up. But he didn't. The days after that are a blur. I went back and forth between the hospital and the police station, trying to explain what happened. But none of it mattered. My friend never woke up. He died on October 30th, just 2 days after the attack. I thought it was over, that it was finally done. But I was completely wrong. The day after he died, I got a Snapchat from an unknown account. It was a photo of him in his hospital bed. Whoever took it clearly didn't have permission. The caption said, "You're next. Stay strong, vampire." These events are based on a real tragedy in Queen Creek, Arizona, a suburb southeast of Phoenix. On October 28, 2023, 16-year-old Preston Lord was attacked at a Halloween party. Preston, a high school student and basketball player, had gone to the party with teammates. It had been advertised on Snapchat as a costume party with free alcohol, attracting over 200 local teens. During the party, Preston and his friends were confronted by a group of older teens. After someone filmed the fight, tensions escalated. Preston was knocked unconscious by Talon Renner, and others continued attacking him. Witnesses reported seeing someone stomp on him before he was dragged away. Police later found him with severe injuries. He died 2 days later. The group responsible, known as the Gilbert Goons, had reportedly been involved in violent incidents since 2022. Often sharing videos like Snapchat. 7 individuals: Preston Billy, 18, Jacob Messner, 17, Taylor Sherman, 19, Talon Renner, 17, Dominic Turner, 20, William Owen Hines, 18, and Talon Vigil, as well as others under 18, were charged with first-degree murder and kidnapping. They all pleaded not guilty, with the trial scheduled for July 2025 due to the large amount of evidence. It's strange how a single moment can change everything. One message, one night, one choice. I should have realized something was off that day. But how do you recognize a monster in your own friend? I thought Max was normal, just like us, until that night. I'd known Max since middle school. We weren't best friends, but we hung out. Jimmy, though, that was different. We were close. We saw each other after school all the time, talked about everything. Girls, nothing serious, just normal stuff. But Max, lately he'd been different. It started small. He'd go quiet whenever Jimmy was around. I figured it was just typical teenage drama. At first, I didn't think much of it. I was playing GTA 5 on my PlayStation when my phone buzzed. When I got the message, I didn't hesitate. Max and Jimmy had been my friends for years. We'd had our ups and downs, but this just seemed like another normal night. Hang out, joke around, maybe play games, or so I thought. Max had always been a little intense, but hey, that was just Max, right? I met up with Jimmy and we headed to Max's place. "You think he's serious about that big surprise?" I asked. "Dude, he's always talking nonsense," Jimmy joked. That was just how he was, always laughing things off, keeping things light. But even he couldn't hide how weird things had gotten between us lately. Looking back, I think Jimmy sensed something I didn't. Or maybe something I didn't want to see. "There you are," Max said, ready for something you'll never forget. The moment I walked in, it felt heavy, like the air itself weighed something. Max barely spoke, and Jimmy, who was usually the life of the party, just sat there scrolling on his phone. This didn't feel like a normal hangout. Something was off. I figured it had something to do with that girl, Alexa, but I didn't know the full story. Not yet. Then Max said, "Let's play a game. It's called I Kill You." As he said it, he pointed a gun at Jimmy. I froze. For a second, I thought it had to be a joke. It couldn't be real, but then I saw Max's face. He wasn't joking. His voice sounded strange, distant, like he wasn't really there. And I didn't notice it before. I should have. I really should have. "You think this is funny?" he said, "always acting like you're better than me." Something had snapped in him. "Max, what the hell, man? This isn't funny." Jimmy said, "What are you talking about?" Max replied coldly. It felt like a nightmare, but it was real. Max pulled the trigger just like that. No shouting, no fighting, nothing. I stood there frozen. Part of me still wanted to believe it was a joke, that Jimmy would get up laughing, but he didn't. He couldn't. The room went completely silent. Jimmy, who had been laughing with us just days ago, was now lying there, motionless. My brain couldn't process it. And then Max did something even worse. He didn't run, he didn't panic. Instead, he calmly pulled out his phone, opened Snapchat, and took a picture. That's when I realized the Max I knew was gone. This was someone else, a stranger, a monster. I never thought I'd see him again, but I did. At the trial, he showed no emotion. He didn't even react when they showed the video he had posted, like Jimmy's life meant nothing, like it was entertainment. Jimmy was gone. Max was gone too, in a different way, and I was left with nothing but memories and nightmares. Every time I hear a Snapchat notification, I feel sick. I can't erase what I saw. I can't forget what Max became. You think you know your friends. You think you can trust them. But sometimes the real monsters are standing right next to you, just waiting for the right moment. This story is inspired by a real incident that happened in February 2015. Maxwell Morton, 16, shot and killed his friend Jimmy Patrick in a small town in Pennsylvania. The two teens had been friends, but tensions grew due to jealousy, especially over a girl. On the night of the crime, Maxwell invited Jimmy over under false pretenses. Shortly after Jimmy arrived, Max shot him. Even worse, after the killing, he took a selfie with Jimmy's body and sent it to friends on Snapchat. One of the recipients, shocked, saved the image and reported it to authorities, which led to Maxwell's arrest. He was later convicted of third-degree murder and sentenced accordingly.